Uh, Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Zenit once again. On this second day of October 2025, we start off by paying our tributes to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, who was born on this day. Uh, it is a national holiday, and entire India gratefully remembers the contributions of this giant of a man who got our independence for our nation. Hi, Colonel Best, how are you?
I am absolutely fine.
Please accept the heartiest Vijaya greetings. Also, Vijaya Dasami, Dosera, all greetings to you and your family. We are living
Happy
in very
Dashera to
interesting
you.
times. We are gathered today to discuss on an incident, not exactly an incident, on a series of incidents which have taken place far away from our source in the Mediterranean, where the Indian Navy is on exercise with certain elements of the Greek Navy. Colonel Best, I'd like to you to give us an overview of the situation there. What exactly transpired and how it all began?
Well, actually, there was an exercise, naval exercise, which was being conducted between India and Greece, and it had two phases. One was the harbor phase, and one was in the sea. And during this exercise, India had sent one of its stealth frigate, INS Trikhand, and there were, I believe, two destroyers and two patrol vehicles also. So naturally, when you have an exercise with a NATO country, there are a lot of uh, protocol issues, lot of communication issues, and a lot of other aspects which need a lot of interaction prior to any kind of successful exercise. So you have communication, electronic warfare, and testing of your weapon systems, and a lot of other aspects which are taken care of. So primarily, if you must have noticed that during the Op Sindoor time, there was a lot of direct support by Turkey or Turkiye, as they call it, in Pakistan, and they had sent in their Bayraktar drones and EHA drones to Pakistan to directly fire against India. And probably one or two of their operatives were also present to help the Pakistani troops. So this was a direct confrontation with India. And over a period of time, we have always seen that Turkey is meddling in the internal affairs of India. Primarily in Kashmir, they have made a lot of statements about India doing a disfavor, and India doesn't have any rights over Kashmir, and also some kind of internal interference within India also. So there are a number of reasons why Turkey is doing this kind of a thing. It's basically, it has got a hangover of the Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire in the say 13, 14, 15, 16, up to 20th century was a very, very strong empire, which almost had a span from Middle East to Southern Europe and Northern Africa. And it was a very cruel sort of an empire in which they had very, very strange kind of customs. So there is a hangover which the present president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has. And in that effort, he wants to become a leader of the Muslim world. And in that, Pakistan fits somewhere in their calculations. So this is the primary reason why they were carrying out such overt and covert help to Pakistan against India. Uh,
I'd like you
it is
to
important.
please define as to what this exercise was all about, because interestingly, Greece and Turkey are both NATO members, and ideally, NATO members do not take part in bilateral exercises. We generally do not take part in bilateral exercises, although there have been exceptions with non-NATO countries. But then this was something unheard of. Indian naval ships going all the way to the Mediterranean, taking part in exercise with Greece Navy, which Turkey, they presumed it to be some kind of a threat to their regional domination. So, firstly, what about the exercise, and then what do you think are the sore points which Turkey felt that India was transgressing into their domain?
Actually, Turkey is a sort of a strong nation. If you take its armed forces in NATO countries, it is second most powerful country as far as the numerical strength goes. And they have got NATO weapons and also S-400 from Russia. So it is not really liked by either the NATO countries or the European Union. As a matter of fact, Turkey is a sore thorn, and just because of its location or strategic location vis-a-vis the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, it has got a lot of nuisance value. So, this exercise India has primarily gone into with Greece is to form a very close alliance with the Greek or Hellenic Navy, as they call it, because Greece was being bullied by Turkey, and being NATO nations, they've got very strange kind of an alliance. NATO is nothing but the United States of America, and supported by some very marginal powers like the UK, French, and the Germans. So what they do is they don't literally give any kind of weapon systems or any kind of independent or sovereign defense systems to their members, especially small countries like Greece. And as a result, since the United States is gradually receding and the NATO as a uh, organization, as a strong military organization, is shrinking. So every person, every country is now feeling threatened. And with a belligerent nation like Turkey, Greece was very, very uncomfortable. So, what options does Greece have? China cannot be trusted. The Russian uh, empire or Russian country, Russia as a country, is struggling against Ukraine war. So only a country whom they could have turned on was India, and India is providing them training to their naval persons because a number of islands south of Turkey are being encroached uh, in the Greek waters. So there is a Aegean Sea. If you see the map, uh, Greece and Turkey are absolute neighbors. Greece is on the western side of Turkey. And in 1974 or 1994, I believe uh, Turkey had invaded Cyprus. So northern part of the Cyprus is within Turkey, and there is a Turkish Cypriots uh, and Greek Cypriots in Cyprus. So, and there is a buffer zone which is manned by the United Nations, and some elements of UK is also there. So Cyprus is a totally mess. So unless and until somebody resolves this issue and makes Greece powerful enough to confront Turkey, it wouldn't have been possible. So this particular exercise, India has sent its naval persons, and uh, as I told you, there are five ships, including an oil tanker, which was there. And during this exercise, almost 1,500 nautical miles from the shores of Turkey, uh, there were three Turkish ships which came close to INS Trikhand, our Indian naval ship, and they said that you should immediately go back from this place. So we had not, India as a nation had not violated any territorial waters or economic zone of Turkey. But despite that, it was a bullying action. And since majority of our trade route is through the Mediterranean, we have got Haifa port in Israel, that is on the west side of Israel, and a lot of ships go through the Suez Canal. So, succumbing to any such pressures from a hostile and belligerent nation like Turkey, India would have lost its trade routes and other things.
and
So,
also its
India not
credibility.
only Yes, so India not only reacted to their 18-hour ultimatum, it said that you pull back your ships within 12 hours or face the music. And India, as a nation, as of date, has got a lot of capability. They have got not only the naval might, not only the missiles to directly attack the Turkish nation, but they have got a sort of an alliance in which they are offering BrahMos missiles to Greece as well as Cyprus, and they have already offered a number of defense equipment to Armenia, they've got sold them Pinaka and the Akash defense systems. Akash air defense system is very, very effective, and it has got a layered defense system in which drones as well as fighter aircrafts can be intercepted, missiles can be intercepted. So Armenia faced a lot of reversal during their war with Azerbaijan, that is Nagorno-Karabakh region. So during that time, it was felt that Armenia should be strengthened. So the Turkish media is crying foul that India is making an alliance of Cyprus, Greece, and Armenia, which will be a direct threat to Turkey. So far, Turkey has not taken any direct confrontational attitude towards the INS Trikhand, and India has sent four more ships, it seems. So and spoken to a lot of other friendly countries in the Mediterranean, and also raised the issue in the United Nations. So be it diplomatic, be it military, and be it cooperation with friendly nations, India has tackled Turkey in a very, very nice manner, and it is showing a strategic shift that even if there is a NATO country, India can intervene, and it is one of the most reliable military power as well as a strategic partner with any of the countries, Rajiv.
What about the INS Trikhand? It is one of our in fact, not only one of our most modern, but is one of the world's most modern surface ships, stealth destroyer, armed to the teeth. It has got even the BrahMos crews on board and other missile defense systems, and of course, it has got cyber warfare capabilities also. Initially, the face of the confrontation, if I may say so, was the INS Trikhand when it ventured close to the Turkish. It did not enter the Turkish waters as such. It was all part of the exercise. They were there when Turkey gave a warning that the ship has to move back within 18 hours. Then India replied back to Turkey saying that stop this interference and within next 12 hours. So this is how the things escalated. And like Kalbis has just said, there were other Indian ships in the vicinity. They all moved in and forced the Turkey ships to back down. Kalbis, there are some reports about some live firing of weapons and missile systems.
Although a number of things had surfaced in the social media,
Hmm.
the official statements and the mainstream news channels and printed media has not shown any news. And if any NATO country was attacked by any missiles, there would have been a lot of coverage in the international media. So far, nothing has surfaced except for the ministries or the media of Greece and Turkey. Nothing else has come out. So far, any live firing or any kind of cyber attack or any kind of electronic warfare
What
jamming and
my
all.
sources say that there has been some live firing live firing of certain missiles. Not I won't say it's BrahMos, but they were part of the naval exercise which is taking place with Greece. So probably there could have been some firing, but it is part of the exercise. That is a normal practice, and accordingly, notifications are issued to all the neighboring shipping lanes to keep away. There's also reports of an unexplained cyber attack on certain critical assets inside Turkey. I'd like to hear your views on that.
Well, actually, in May 2025, there was a defense expo in Greece, and India had offered uh, its missile systems, that is long range attack cruise missiles. So it not only had a offer of BrahMos missile, but also Nirbhay missiles, which is subsonic, zero point 0.8 to zero point 0.7 Mach in speed, and it can carry 24 type of warheads, and also it has got all the three variants, that is Air Force, Navy, and the surface to surface cruise missiles. So it is one of the very effective missiles. So probably during the uh, exercise, they might have fired the Nirbhay kind of a missile, and they must have notified a certain amount of cargo vessels and to other nations that such kind of live firing might be taken. And during such close quarters, like electronic jamming and cyber attacks are quite routine. So although these are classified matters and between the two nations, but there are a lot of rumors floating around which may not be true. But yes, it cannot be denied that Nirbhay kind of missile might have been fired. Nirbhay incidentally fits into the torpedo silos also. It is almost like 5.6 meters in length, zero point 0.5 meter in diameter, and 945 odd kgs of weight. So it's a very, very effective missile, and it has got a CEP. BrahMos is very, very accurate. It is 1 meter circular error of probability. Nirbhay also has got around 5 meters of circular error of probability. So it can destroy it very fast. And Greece is also interested in Rudram and Astra missiles, which they want to fit it into their Rafale jets. So India also does have Rafale. So integrating these missiles into the jet is also not very difficult for India. So that kind of a exclusive vision or exclusiveness of NATO compatibility with Indian arms has been broken. So, as these war clouds are also entering Europe, so you will see a lot of Indian exports, Indian these things, because NATO countries can't supply missiles or weapons or things. They have already burned their fingers in Ukraine, and they are almost bankrupt. So both Turkey and Greece have got NATO weapons with them. Raji.
Uh, Now coming to our Navy, the naval capabilities, as we all know, the Indian Navy has been in operations against the pirates, anti-piracy operations across the Red Sea in areas of the coast of Yemen, of the coast of Somalia. But this must be the first time that the Indian Navy has been involved in power projection far away from our shores, and that too against a country which is a member of NATO and which has got a fairly competent naval force itself. How do you see the evolution of the Indian Navy as a blue water force now?
It was my dream that we should have a naval force, and to be precise, a blue water navy. As a matter of fact, from the historical times till date, uh, whichever country had a good navy, it ruled. It ruled the continents, it ruled the world. So, right from the time when the Cholas and others were up to Indonesia, or during the time of Shivaji, our navy was very strong. and you find an emblem also of Shivaji Maharaj in our naval flag. Likewise, Great Britain became a world power because of its navy. So, naval forces today, American Navy SEALs and American Navy is dominating across the entire globe. They've got 800 bases and number of naval bases. So it was my dream that India should build a blue water navy. And we've got a large expanse, we've got an expanse of Indian Ocean region, the Indo-Pacific, and now also the Mediterranean and Red Sea to guard. And incidentally, be it the Somalian pirates or any other place on the Indian Ocean, the first SOS is sent to the Indian Navy, and Indian Navy has never failed to provide protection to them. Now, if a country like Turkey is threatening India, so the response which has been given by India to Turkey, especially as far as INS Trikhand is concerned, and also about uh, joint exercise with Greece, we have to get into such exercises and such training and as well as participation with a lot of friendly countries to contain rogue countries and also belligerent countries like Turkey. Because you see, there is a growing nexus. Once people have seen that there were attacks on Qatar, where the biggest US CENTCOM is situated, there is a lot of unease and a lot of security threats which the Middle Eastern kingdoms are also facing. And there is a kind of a nexus between Turkey, Pakistan, and also maybe certain amount of Middle Eastern countries. So India has to emerge as a very powerful nation and as a very powerful navy. So this is one of the most important aspects and probably the first one wherein India has given an ultimatum to a NATO member, Rajiv.
Yeah. Uh, of course, the we have to. In fact, India has sent a message across. In fact, when this news initially broke, there was the news that broke was that INS Trikhand was being told to sail back. It was initially said that Turkish vessels were passing on radio messages, radio warning messages to India. Then came the news of Saudi Arabia and petrol vessels also getting involved into the fracas. Do you have any information of Saudi Arabia also getting involved in this, or were they in the vicinity, or
Yes.
were they there as part of some exercise with Turkey? This was initially
No,
when
there is
India
no.
didn't show its full cards, when India didn't call in those backup four vessels. So when this was when they thought India just deployed one naval vessel, that is the INS Trikhand there.
Initially, there was a Saudi vessel which had retracted because Saudi Arabia is a very big trading partner of India, and we've got very good relations with Saudi Arabia. So it might have been there accidentally. There was no exercise reported between Turkey and Saudi Arabia. So it was just incidental. There is no confirmed report of any Saudi Arabian naval ship acting against Indian INS Trikhand, Rajiv.
Okay. And Israel being another military power in the close vicinity, how do you see Israel reacting to such events very close to them?
Israel is very closely watching the progress and also the activities which are going on in the Mediterranean. You see, there are number of uh, things which Turkey is involved right now. Turkey, incidentally, is a very fractured society as of date, and they have got a ongoing struggle with the PKK. PKK is nothing but a Kurdish force which is
Separatist group.
fighting,
Yeah.
yes, which is fighting. Kurds are basically in Iraq, Iran, Syria, and uh, Turkey. So, South. east of Turkey, there is an ongoing insurgency and a war going on, and previous decade, almost 40,000 people have died in that, and there is a lot of enmity between Greece and Armenia. So prior to World War I, they had carried out the Armenian genocide, which is the third largest genocide. Actually, if you see, the genocide of Hindus across the world is the highest, because around 80 million odd have perished since the foreign invaders have come in. Israel, it was 6.5 million or 65 lakhs. And Armenian, almost 1 lakh, 1 million people were
Butchered.
executed by the
Butchered.
Turks, butchered. So it was one of the biggest this thing. And during World War I, it was the Greek forces who have defeated Turkey. So Greek forces were there, and there was a lot of fighting on, which was done by the Indian forces. As a matter of fact, now the Israelis are claiming that the Indian forces liberated Haifa port,
Yeah.
and it was our Jodhpur Lancers, Hyderabad Lancers, and one more, I believe, Mysore
No,
Lancers.
in fact, the
So these
Israeli
were the
nation
one.
very gratefully remembers the sacrifices of our soldiers in the liberation of Haifa.
Yes,
And there's a memorial there, which
yes.
is very prominent.
So it is not the first time that Indians have defeated. It was Ottoman Empire at that time, and basically Turkey developed under Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, who was earlier known as Mustafa Kemal Pasha. He was a great general, and when the Ottomans were defeated, this Mustafa Kemal Pasha was sent to the Allied forces and the Ottoman generals. The Ottoman generals refused uh, to surrender. So he was sent. Ataturk was sent there, but he formed his own thing, and he found a very secular Turkey after the Ottoman Empire was abolished in 1924. And Turkey was very, very uh, forthcoming in helping the NATO forces. They took part in a Korean War, and they took part in also European Union forces. So, being a very, very, and they had a lot of casualties. I think 14,900 troops had gone there in the Korean War, and almost 700 people had expired. So, Ataturk was a person, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, when he became the president, he developed Turkey uh, as a secular country, but this chap wants to become a Khalifa or a Caliph. Uh, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. So he's going back. Whatever good things Ataturk has done, he's trying to radicalize the society. Now, any radical force with such a large army and armed forces is a big threat to Israel, and especially the one who has got lot of ambitions to become the caliph or caliphate or khalifa. So Israel doesn't like all these activities in its absolute neighbor. And as a matter of fact, European Union is also not admitting Turkey in European Union in its SAFE, some kind of military uh, coalition which the European Union is forming. So Turkey is not actually liked and not actually trusted by a lot of people. So Israel is watching them very, very closely, and Israel has got very good friendship with India, and there is a kind of an axis which is going on. So if you form an Islamic caliphate, there are only two countries which will oppose them. One is Israel in the Middle East, and one is India in the Indian subcontinent. And if you see the entire expanse, so these are the two countries, and Spain is one of the countries which has fought the Islamic invasion and Islamic influence in its territory. And it was way back, like a lot of Spanish kings drove them away uh, from Spain. So there is a lot of turmoil which is taking place, and of course, Israel will always be supportive of India. So let us see how it unfolds. It will not, of course, be taken to a point of no return or further escalation. And there is a absolute news ban as of date, Raji.
It's very interesting that you mentioned Kemal Atatürk. In fact, it is his legacy that Turkey is a modern European nation today, and most of its institutions are still very modern and democratic. They do not believe in the fundamentalism which Erdogan tries to propagate. But how do you see Erdogan's position within the society? He has been fighting back to the he has been fighting with his back to the wall in several elections, but somehow he's been managing to get away. How do you see his position today inside Turkey society?
Erdogan is a curse to Turkey. Actually, 2020, if you just see radicalism uh, creeping its way into a society is always harmful. Uh, I'll give you an example of Hagia Sophia. That was a church which was
Yes,
built in
yes.
574 AD. Uh, it was a church, and it was one of the biggest church and an architectural magnificence, if I can say. But in 15th century, I think Mehmet II, he defeated the Christians and captured Constantinople, or Istanbul as it is called today, and he converted it into a mosque. And a lot of good paintings and interiors of Hagia Sophia was destroyed, and some kind of painting was done on it, and certain other things came in. But in 1925 or so, uh, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk again made it a museum from a mosque. And just see when this Erdogan character comes in 2020, I think it was COVID era, he again made it a mosque. So he's taking the society back to, he's taking all regressive steps. And Islamic economics, he's taking back the interest rates. He's trying to bring it Islamic interest rate, which is zero. So, as a matter of fact, because of this, they had reached inflation rate up to 65%. Today, it is at 34.3%. So, their economy is totally destroyed, and it is an import-driven economy. So, once the oil from Russia is stopped and other imports like food grains has come down to a trickle. There's a lot of problems which the people are facing. And the way he reacted, this Erdogan character during the uh, earthquake. So he called in all the contractors who had made multi-storied buildings, and he shot them at point blank range. So that is not how a democracy is run. Actually speaking, they've got a very bad kind of inhuman kind of a history, because during the Ottoman Empire, which this Erdogan chap is trying to emulate, they had a very funny system. The moment a king or a sultan was coronated, all his brothers were assassinated. So whenever a sultan used to take over the crown of Ottoman Empire, there used to be a number of those dead body processions, and that included 17, 18, 35 years of princes up to 8 months. So they used to cut them into pieces. Their heads were chopped off just because they shouldn't be a threat to the uh, Sultan. So that kind of a sick society, he's trying to go back into that era, which is not good for Turkey and also for the world. So it is bad time for Turkey, and unnecessarily he is poking his nose into Indian territory and India-Pakistan relations. So any kind of meddling will with India is going to be problematic for Erdogan, Rajiv.
Well, we do hope uh, some uh, some sort of change comes about inside Turkey, because they have been meddling in different countries of the world. Like the present government in Syria is again a Turkish-backed regime, which is again posing a threat to the peace in that region. Uh, we do hope our ties with Greece and Cyprus develop further and develop into some kind of more stringent defense engagements. Uh, Now I'd like to request all our viewers to viewers and those who follow us and subscribe our channel to please comment on the content that we put out. Your comments help us in extending the reach of our content. Well, Colonel Best, before we conclude, very briefly, how do you see Turkey evolving in the next 3 to 5 years? If Erdogan goes, do you see some kind of a more liberal government coming in?
There's not much future
Or shall
for
I say, is
Turkey.
Turkey's march towards Islamization unstoppable?
Yes, there is not much of future for Turkey. The United States has banned its engine export for the Khan stealth fighter of Turkey. And their six F-35 are kept in some hangar in United States. So even the US doesn't trust Turkey. And the wars raging in Ukraine, Russia, uh, it was gaining a lot of prominence because of Bosphorus uh, channel, which connected the Black Sea with the Mediterranean Sea. So that kind of a thing is declining each passing day. And if they are going to have this kind of an inflation, there will be a lot of civil war. Earlier, they had cleansed the Turkey by killing or driving away the Greek Christians, the Orthodox Christians, and killing the Armenians. But in modern day time, it's not possible. There will be some intervention at some stage. So their future is doomed for sure.
Thank you so
Ajit.
much for your comments, for your views. And this is always a pleasure talking to you. And I'm sure our viewers will find this podcast very informative. And thank you to all the viewers. And do keep liking and subscribing our channel. Do keep increasing our reach as we strive to bring better and better content for you all. Thank you again.
Thank you and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.